or one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on is because you do these really spicy hot takes on LinkedIn, most of which I completely agree with, by the way. And the things that I say as well, kind of privately, but ones that caught my attention was this post you made about why Salesforce must die. And I really happen to agree with this. Like, I really couldn't agree more, actually. So I've used Salesforce at many of the last few jobs that I've had over the last 13 years, and it sucked every time. I mean, literally everybody hates it, right? It's customized everywhere. It's expensive to implement. The data model is different in every company. Custom record definitions built out so that creating a report is like some bespoke task that only subject matter experts like well-versed in the magical incantations can accomplish. And because they spend so much on building it out, upper management makes middle management whip the lower level management to hammer on everybody to use it. And it's just like, oh, it's terrible. And I agree that their product is terrible. They should die.
Not to mention, Chad, the fact that every single time I go into a forecast call or anything at work, they use some other tool. It's like, what are we doing? Why do we have to buy all these add-on tools for Salesforce? It's supposed to be like this uber super powerful platform, and we end up having to add tools to make it simple.
Yeah, so I wonder how this company got so big with such a crappy product. You know?
I think you kind of already hit the nail on the head. And it's funny because this hot take, it was one of those things where, look, I can go into some of my own like personal, battles with Salesforce and just like how much it sucks, basically. But kind of that post emerged out of some more like first principle thinking almost that I've been doing recently, whereby, so one of my big things at the moment is talking about like, optionality in software, and the value of software is defined by its optionality. And that what is optionality in the context of software is basically how easy it is to change. So the easier software is to change, the more value you create. And in the case of, and so I can go into that in a bit more detail, but I've been thinking a lot about it, and particularly in the context of AI. And I think we're on the cusp of, lots more software being created. And it's going to really, I don't think redefine what it means to be a software engineer, but really kind of force us to grapple with what being a software engineer is really about and the value we really provide. And I think it's really tightly related to this idea of optionality. We create value by being able to change things, right?
Now, when you say change, are you talking about the user of Salesforce being able to customize everything in it, or as an engineer, how easy it is to change?
So I'm talking like in the abstract here, generally in terms of software, we as engineers, we want to make it easier to change. We write tests, we design it well. We want to make our lives easier, right? And the easier it is to change, the more valuable the software is. You could have two apps that are identical in every way, but one is worth 10 times more than the other. Why? Because you can change it and it's not painful. This one has no tests, it's spaghetti code. Only one person has the magic deployment incantation to be able to, it's a nightmare. So it's really hard to change. So even though they look identical, this one's worth way more because it's easy to change. Now, in the case of Salesforce, it's, as we've just discussed, it's really difficult to change. And so all the value is essentially being accrued by Salesforce by having its own internal, basically an entire industry just built around it. Like, it's so difficult to change that it's actually creating loads of value for Salesforce devs and for Salesforce itself, because it's not generic, it's not easy to change, and it forces, it basically means that the only people who can change it are Salesforce devs, and that creates an entire industry around it.
Are you saying that the Salesforce devs have made it hard to change so that job security for them?
I think it's more, I think because it's hard to change, you have to have Salesforce devs, and of course, and because you have Salesforce devs, they are not going to be incentivized to make it easier to change. They've trained on how to do it. They're going to do it the Salesforce way, and the default Salesforce way is to make it difficult to change. And so they're not going to invest loads of effort to make it easier to change, because essentially that is their job. If it was really easy to change and anyone could come in, why would anyone pay them to do it? And so it's that old quote of, the quote is something along the lines of, it's really difficult to convince someone of something when their salary depends on them not understanding it.